It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at U-Like, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. U-Like. With Ease US, make studio-quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high-quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional-grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use AMP-Pace.
AMP-Pace.
It is the Pete Sousa Show. It is Tuesday. We are live here in Central Texas. Scotty Swingler on the wheels of steel. Slovacic's making this all possible. We are so excited to have you today. We got a big show for you. Can't forget about Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. Also, D1. Socorro Family Ford always coming through. That's the spot you need to go to if you're in the market for a car. You go there, dip your toe in the water. You may not leave. You may jump right in the pool and ride out of there with a brand new whip. Also, can't forget about Crawford Austin Properties and Extraco Bank. And the Cowboys and the draft. Do they have anything they can bank on? Are there any new developments, any rumors? Who's going to be making the decision in the draft room? We've got Matt Mosley coming up to talk to us about all that in just about 15 minutes here. off the top, just to kind of tease a little bit of that Mosley interview, something I heard this morning from somebody who I really trust, Peter Schrager, who does a phenomenal job of all this stuff, reporting on the draft, and now he is with ESPN. And this morning he reported that at number 2 and number 3 in the draft, the Browns and the Giants, they are quite possibly open to trading those picks. And teams are calling them, according to Peter Schrager, in an effort to move up in the draft. Now, my question for Mosley will be, and the two players who these teams, Schrager doesn't know who the teams are, by the way, or at least he wouldn't report it this morning. He may know and may be sworn to secrecy. God bless you, Scotty. After one more, you're on your own. I got one more God bless you. I do 2 God bless yous, and then that's it, right? You're on your own after that. So Abdul Carter and Ashton Genty are the 2 players who the teams that are calling about are potentially eyeing. And I immediately think to myself, you think about the Dallas Cowboys, you just do. I don't know whether it's because I live here now or because I've gotten to know a little bit about the Cowboys and their exact DNA, but the Cowboys need a running back. And right now they are circling that for pick number 44, or at least all the prognosticators are. McShay, Schrager, and this is for, the second wave of running backs, right? Or who will be available there. Ashton Genty will not be. So are we in a world now where Jerry and Stephen Jones decide to move up to take Ashton Genty at 2 or 3? We're going to ask Mosley about that. I think that is initially when I heard Schrager say that, and I heard Ashton Genty's name mentioned, and I heard that these 2 teams, Cleveland and New York, I think New York at 3 probably is more open to trading that pick than anyone else, or than Cleveland, not anybody else, because it's clear from all the stuff that we've heard, McShay on here last week, that they're still kind of split as to what they want to do. I guess on the personnel side, a lot of guys want Shedeur Sanders. On the coaching side, some people, reportedly Brian Daboll, aren't thrilled about that. So a lot of stuff is going to shake out. And this draft, although it's watered down talent-wise this year, it's going to be extremely dramatic because you've got big names, you've got big-name teams looking to make some moves, i.e. the Cowboys. We don't know what the hell they're going to do because Tedder McMillan at 12, I don't think you're getting good value there. Scotty, what do you got?
What do I got?
I can usually tell when you're gearing up over there.
Man, I'm always gearing up. I repping the real football team in Dallas right now.
Oh, no, it's the
yeah, I don't like a receiver early in the first when you have CeeDee Lamb, if you're talking about Cowboys value. I think the Giants, I was hearing Orlovsky and Damian Woody on ESPN today talk about this. The Giants are really in the worst spot. They're in the worst spot because you're either left with, let's assume the Browns keep the number 2 pick. They're going to take, all likelihood, Carter or Hunter. So then you're really down to, do we take a quarterback probably higher than they're valued, or do we take one of these other pieces that love Hunter, think he's going to be a great pro, maybe a Hall of Famer. Carter could be a very good pass rusher, but they're not going to make your team that much better overnight.
Yeah.
And the difficulty is Brian Daboll is going to be coaching for his job this fall.
Yes.
And so you almost want to take a quarterback because that can make the biggest impact quickly, but nobody's really sold on Shedeur at that spot. Jackson Dart at that spot, that's a reach. I think ideally the Giants would love to get a trade partner move back into the teens or the 20s, and then you see what quarterback's there at 21. Is it, and I'm making up numbers, but is it Milroe? Is it Jackson Dart? I think they would feel better about taking a guy late in the first round.
Well, and I like all the stuff we're hearing about the Giants because you do have, if I'm a Giant fan, I'm not too discouraged because if we draft a quarterback, we can get by on Russell Wilson for the first 5 games, 6
So
games.
true. And I didn't say this yesterday when we were talking about this, but I actually think Russell Wilson would be one of the few people that would be a great guy for Shedeur to sit behind.
Yeah.
And that's not a criticism of Shedeur. It's more of this guy's won a Super Bowl, was also undervalued coming out of college, kind of, 3rd round pick, kind of seen as some holes in his game, and he's turned it into a hell of a career. I think he could be great for Shedeur.
Okay, we're switching topics quickly.
Yeah.
Because we'll get to Mosley in the draft here in about 10 minutes. Nico Harrison spoke to the media yesterday, and he seemed meek. It was almost as though, honestly, as someone just the eye test is concerned, I felt bad for him. I did. I felt as though, at the end of the day, this is a guy who has a family. He's got a wife. I even Googled Nico Harrison wife because I was curious to see if he had a wife, if he was going home to somebody. And he does have a wife. She actually works for ABC News, and she seems like a 100% down-to-earth person who would support him in this, and not like one of the Real Housewives who you could come home to who'd be like, what the hell did you do at work today? We look terrible here in Dallas now. No, she looks like this is just, again, the eye test. But then I'm shocked back to earth, and I remember what this dude did. And the article now, more rumors, not rumors, but really flat out reporting yesterday about the Casey Smith situation, who was a trainer for the Mavs for 20 years, was a total ally of Dirk's, and was an ally also of Luka's. You familiar with the story, Scotty? Oh, so this is awesome. So Casey Smith was with the Mavs from 2004 up to 2023. He was seen as part of Luka's inner circle. And last year, the story gets, and it depends on who you believe, but there's reporting that, this is factual, that he was away from the team last year for a while with his gravely ill mother, and that's when Nico let him go at the end of, in 2023, right? And Nico, on the record, was quoted as saying, Casey was too negative. But everyone you ask, people inside the organization and people like your boy, Tim McMahon, talk about the fact that he was an enabler for Luka. That's how he was seen by Nico Harrison. And that was, the New York Post had it yesterday. I think The Athletic had it. I think, the New York Post does what it does. It aggregated another story, but they ran it really high, above the fold. You can't say above the fold there because it's like a tabloid magazine, but it was on one of the bigger stories on the back pages because Casey Smith is now with the Knicks. He's like an executive with them. And I think he was hired. Oh, he was hired away because Jalen Brunson, former Maverick, apparently put in a good word for him. And that is just another example of why I can't feel sorry for Nico Harrison. And I want to run a clip too. You can tell I was surprised. Well, let's just run the clip. I always screw it up by giving too much context before I take us nowhere with that. Let's listen to what Charles Barkley said last night on Inside the NBA.
Is that my camera right there?
Okay, uh-oh.
Listen, man, I consider you a friend of mine, Nico Harrison. I consider you a friend of mine. I wish you nothing but the best. I thought you did a good job last year with the Mavs, and obviously whatever happened this year didn't work out. Man, don't do no more press conferences. I don't even know what you're doing. I really don't. I got sympathy and love for you, but I have zero idea what you're trying to do. This war is over, brother. You got to taking the L. I hope you keep your job. I hope that team get healthy. But, man, don't do any more interviews. Please don't.
Charles says it like nobody else can. And I think that's a huge, really, the public persona for him right now is just at an all-time low. And I truly do believe that Charles is right in a sense where it's been a comedy of errors from a public relations standpoint. When we saw Nico on camera yesterday, I think we were reminded why there were no cameras a week and a half ago or last week when he did his press availability behind closed doors with selected members of the media. So I hope that my hope for Nico Harrison as a person now, because I am like, there's a part of me that like, I don't know, I have empathy, right? I'm an empath. And I heard somebody say that once, like, you know, one of those girls, like, I'm an empath. But I do think I'm kind of an empath. And so I can kind of emotionally, it kind of pulls at me a little bit. So just lay low and like literally lay low. We probably don't need to hear from you until you're talking about the draft, and you're going to get more questions about the draft. This is my advice to Nico now. And just wait for your team to get healthy and see what happens next year. I think your legacy in the city of Dallas is completely destroyed, and probably around the NBA. And I was looking more into the whole, like, his relationship with Rob Pelinka last night and how close they were, and both of them working for Nike. Or I'm sorry, Rob being Kobe's agent, Nico being the Nike rep, all that stuff. It just seems kind of gross. But I do want to say one more thing before we wrap up and move on to our next topic. This was very interesting. I was watching Celtic City last night, and Danny Ainge and Kevin McHale are best friends. And in 2007, a trade was made between Boston and Minnesota. McHale is the GM of Minnesota, and Danny Ainge is the GM of the Celtics. And a trade is put together literally because that they're very honest about it. And it seemed like they didn't really address how Minnesota may have been taken to the cleaners with this trade. But the fact that Ainge and McHale were such good friends enabled them to make a deal which sent Kevin Garnett to the Celtics. And I was kind of like, well, that's interesting. Nico obviously may have looked at that deal and other deals. I think there was another one where two guys got in bed together. I think the Paul Gasol trade. I think that was two guys, GMs that were somewhat friendly, that were able to pull that off. Yeah, this has happened before, but never to this magnitude. And I wonder if Nico thought, you know, because you find somebody you can work with. Sometimes that makes you a good trade partner. But he completely overestimated or underestimated, right? Like he said yesterday, the city of Dallas's love for Luka Doncic. One more thing before we get to Mosley and go to break. Inside the NBA on an all-time heater last night, okay? You want to talk about finishing strong on TNT? You had that clip from Charles. Scotty, let's roll Shaq. You guys I think we all know what's happening here. Go ahead.
Thing about Kawhi is, you know, you all right, big fella? You all right? No. Catching a cramp?
Go ahead. Keep talking, Jeff.
Yeah, we're on TV.
I know what we're doing. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's that olive oil you've been drinking.
I know.
Hey, take some matches with you. Hey, listen, he couldn't hold it. He can't hold it. After 4.
So if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast version, Shaq just gets up from his seat at the desk while they're all conversating on the air. It's very clear that his body is telling him he needs to make a trip to the restroom. And when we see that, I think we all move to the worst case scenario there. So that happened on live television. And then the night before, okay, now this was, I'm sorry, I saw it and I laughed, but I know there is a seriousness to the situation. Wow, what was the guy's name? Billy Ray. Let me look it up real quick, and I'll be quick with this because we got to get to Mosley. I looked at it yesterday. So Billy Ray Bates was an American basketball player. Look, I'm reading the Wikipedia. He played for the Portland Trailblazers, and he's third in NBA history of a guy that came off the bench in a playoff game, and his point total, I think he had like 29 or 30 points in a game in the playoffs. So he was, NBA on TNT is ranking or looking at a graphic which has all the guys who scored the most points off the bench in playoff history in a single game. And this guy, Billy Ray Bates, who it was pretty clear that the guys on the set would probably never heard of. And Barkley just says, do you think he's still alive? And he says it on the air. And immediately, Ernie goes into dad mode, and he's just like, oh, come on, Charles. And then Kenny goes into older brother mode, like, you can't say that on TV. And then Shaq, who's sitting at the end of the desk getting a kick out of it, says, no, I think he's passed. So now they've kind of been like, who the hell is this guy? Is he alive? And Shaq puts him under the ground, okay? And so they open up last night's broadcast with Ernie Johnson. I think they came back from a break with this. They didn't open up with it. But Ernie Johnson is basically like, hey, we have to apologize. We gave some bad information. I mean, he basically was like, it was inaccurate, it was ignorant, and like, we're embarrassed. We screwed up. And he takes accountability. It's funny, though, they don't have Charles or Shaq on because those two guys totally screwed this up. And the good news, though, is that we are informed that Billy Ray Bates is still alive at 68 years of age. He's not even that old. So, I mean, that show is just absolute television gold. Sometimes for the wrong reasons, but man, unbelievable. Props to Inside the NBA, and so excited they will carry on after this season. Even if you don't watch it, like I didn't watch, I watched part of it last night, watching the Knicks, but yeah, awesome stuff. All right, Matt Mosley coming up. He is always Dallas Cowboys information gold. Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovacics. Coming back after this with Matt Mosley.
We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite. Dive into adventure with scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. With over 20 years of experience, our expert staff, who've dived everywhere from the Galapagos to the Maldives, provides personalized advice to help you find the perfect gear for any underwater journey. Shop leading brands like GoPro, Aqualung, and Scuba Pro. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com. At Terrapin Ridge Farms, they believe in the joy of effortless entertaining. Inspired by CEO Mary O'Donnell's mom and her legendary holiday parties, they've crafted a line of gourmet foods that turn any meal into a celebration. From savory jams to mustards, aiolis, and more, their products are made with love, bringing unforgettable flavors to your table. Whether it's a casual get-together or a special occasion, they make it easy to impress. Terrapin Ridge Farms, where great food and great memories come together. Visit them at terrapinridge.com. Terrapin Ridge. Want to turn your passion into profit? With Blogify, creating a blog has never been easier. Build, customize, and grow your site with powerful tools designed for beginners and pros alike. Start sharing your story today and watch your audience grow with Blogify. Visit blogify.ai today for a free 3-day trial. That's Blogify, Blogify.ai today.
And now, back to our show.
The NFL Draft with the great Matt Mosley. It does not get any better. The Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovacics. We are back getting ready to talk Cowboys draft. Matt is actually getting ready to go down to the Star, where Jerry Jones will have his 11:30 pre-draft press availability. Of course, we are presented by Slovacics. Dallas Cowboys insider Matt Mosley. How you doing, brother?
Well, I'm doing just fine, and I've missed being on with you. It was great to see you the other day over at one of our favorite watering holes restaurants there in Central Texas, and that is the Brazos Landing. But I'm just, getting amped up for this draft, and I just expect Jerry Jones to be very forthright and just kind of explain all his strategy and just come right out and let us know exactly what he intends to do this morning. So that'll happen about 11:30 a.m. Jerry, Steven, and then Will McClay, the brains behind some of these really good drafts Will probably be out there, and Jerry will probably let him say about 2 words during that press conference. But that's going to happen here in about an hour.
So, okay, by the way, ESPN Central Texas is where you can hear Matt today on the air, and obviously that's a must-listen now. 4 to 6 p.m., you got to listen to Mosley. And when I'm on with Mosley, honestly, Matt, we make sweet music together. People stop me in the streets at baseball games. They say, I just heard you on Mosley. It was great. So I love it. All right, you mentioned it, talking about Will McClay. As far as your reporting is concerned and in your great experience around this team, who is going to be making the decisions in the Cowboys draft room? That's the first question I have for you.
Well, I mean, it is a collaboration, believe it or not. It is not Jerry just throwing darts, which I think if there weren't some checks and balances in place, that might happen from time to time. Johnny Manziel would have ended up with the Cowboys because that's what Jerry wanted to do famously. Instead, the Cowboys chose a man that will likely be a first ballot Hall of Famer in Zach Martin. So Jerry does still have ultimate say, but Will McClay is the keeper of the board, and he puts the board together. And in most cases, now the Cowboys sometimes will see a receiver or somebody they want to come up for, or maybe they feel like, hey, we can get our guy and still trade down and get an extra second rounder or something like that. You know, that when that kind of stuff is happening, Steven really is the, I would say, maybe the trade expert. They're looking at the chart, looking at all of that. But Will McClay certainly has the most say when it comes to conviction and understanding of how the board was put together and you know, kind of who they're zeroing in on. And kind of what you're doing in these final days is some role playing, thinking through some scenarios of what could happen, and then also trying to prepare for possible people, especially the Cowboys who don't always draft this high. They're they're looking to see who could possibly start falling and what would they do if that happened. For instance, if a Shedeur Sanders was available at number 12, and that would be, I think the Cowboys' tendency right there would be to try to trade down and let a team that's trying to get up there to get Shedeur, see if they could trade down and get some extra picks, because let me tell you, nothing alienates a starting quarterback like a team taking a first or second round quarterback, rookie. That real, I've seen it happen. I've watched it happen. I saw Donovan McNabb completely change the way he interacted with the media and everybody in Philly when they took Kevin Cobb from the University of Houston in the second round. So anyway, you have to kind of watch that as a team, because I promise you, if the Cowboys take a second or third round quarterback, no matter how much he makes, which is $60 million a year, it will really bother Dak Prescott. So anyway, Pete, sorry, I just thought I would go off on one of my little tangents.
That's great stuff. So do you think, and Scotty, hit Matt with your overarching question. Scotty's obsessed with this.
Matt, I have a theory, and you might have just debunked it. I think if Shedeur Sanders is there at 12, Jerry cannot resist. And I think it's a little different than the Johnny Manziel situation because of the family feeling he has with Dion. I understand what you're saying about that, creating maybe some tension with Dak. Dak's been injury prone. Like, who knows if he can play 16, 17 games? Is there any shot Jerry goes rogue and takes Shedeur at 12?
Well, I don't think, first of all, the quarterback is in such demand, the quarterback position, that I would be shocked if he ended up there. In fact, I think he's going to go number 9. I do think Jerry's going to be asking or thinking about like what it would take to come up to 9 or come up to 8. The pick before 9, I mean, it'll at least cross his mind. I don't think he'll do it, and it's generally Steven talking him out of things like that. And the finances just don't add up. Like, it not that Shedeur would cost that much. It's just that you're just paying this enormous money to a quarterback. And so in a lot of ways, you'd be duplicating your efforts. And I totally get what you're saying, Scotty, that he's an injury prone. I mean, I wouldn't call him Anthony Davis, but he's at least on some level. It seems like it's become sort of an annual thing. So, but I would give it, let's see. Let me give you the percentage chances that Shedeur Sanders is a Dallas Cowboy at the end of Thursday's draft or the end of the whole draft. Let's say he slips into the second round, which I don't think will ever happen. I think it's a 0.5% chance.
Dang. All right.
Yes, that Shedeur Sanders is a Dallas Cowboy.
Mosley, you're the man. All right. I heard this morning Peter Schrager talking about the possibility, or he reported this, right? And you probably have already heard it, but that teams are calling the Giants and the Browns, or I should say in reverse order, the Browns at 2 and the Giants at 3, to try and trade up, and they're listening. They're not slamming the phone down. And it's reported that they're trying to get up there to get either Abdul Carter or Ashton Genty. Now, the Cowboys are in the market for a running back, right? More than likely in the second round, because a lot of teams, and I want to ask you about Tedder and McMillan after this, but a lot of analysts, we had McShay on here last week, he's got McMillan going to the Cowboys at 12, but nobody really loves him. But back to the question I just touched on with Schrager, is it possible that the Cowboys, who could be in the market for a running back, could trade up to maybe 3 to get Ashton Genty? Is that something through your reporting or experience that could be on the table?
Well, as much as the running back and the running game, things kind of cycle through, and it's kind of like the running back becomes less value and less important. And here we are. A lot of these mock drafts have Genty going number 6. I believe that would be the Raiders taking him at number 6. I do not think the Cowboys would come up the board. And what it would take is, golly, to get up there, to move from 12. I don't have my draft chart or my trade chart in front of me, but let me tap into my years of and maybe even consult Dr. Draft. I don't know if y'all have ever met my alter ego. Dr. Brackett shows up around March Madness, and he really provides some excellent information. But Dr. Draft, for about 25 years, gets 3 locks that he makes. And I'll make share this with you guys as we get closer to the draft. But Dr. Draft, and one of those 3 locks for about a 20-year streak, he did nail the Cowboys pick. Now, it took him, Dr. Draft got 3 shots at it. Okay. He gave 3 names, so it made it a little easier, but yeah, but I think that's, I give that a 1% chance of happening. Okay. The Cowboys moving all the way up there to get, now I don't see somebody taking Genty at 2 or 3. I mean, that would shock me. The Carter thing makes more sense. If you decide that this is the next Micah, maybe he kind of has that Superman, and maybe even because of Micah being from Penn State, maybe there's some kind of thought, maybe this is the next guy, the next huge edge. If you think this edge is like heads and shoulders above these other edge rushers in the first round, then maybe you take a look at that. But I think this is just, they're using, listen, it happens to all of us. At this point, they're probably using Schrager. They use Schefter and others to kind of like just make a play and see what possible deals they could elicit. But I promise I don't see it. I don't see either one of those teams moving out of those picks. But I think the first trades happen right around 7 or 8.
All right, Dr. Draft. I mentioned Tedder and McMillan. By the way, from covering him in the Big 12 and calling games, he likes Tedera. He doesn't like Tet, just so you know, when you get him at the press conference. But I don't love him at 12. When he was with Jed Fish, right, he was kind of in a more confined, intense situation, and Fish kind of had his foot on his neck in a positive way, right? He was motivating him, and he was great. Last year with Brett Brennan, it wasn't as smooth, and and apparently practice habits dipped. And, he's so sexy on paper, right? And when you watch him on film, but he might not be like the guy that can just slide in there, plug and play. Are you convinced he is the guy, Dr. Draft, that they'll go with at 12?
Generally, if I see too many people slate somebody, I tend to go another direction. And while, I don't think it would be the craziest pick in the world, and I liked not this past season, but the season before, I kind of liked that guy, and then I liked that Adunze guy that ended up in Chicago. I love that Washington wide receiver. I was into both of those guys, and I think that the pick. It's interesting. There's a bunch of people in Jerry's ear right now pushing Matthew Golden for that number 12 pick, and it's like people inside and outside the building, including one former Hall of Fame wide receiver who came on. By the way, I've added another show now to my repertoire. I don't even know if I've told you about it. And so he came on this other thing I'm doing. I'm syndicated now.
Yeah, what's going on? Give us an update.
Kind of ridiculous. No. Oh, I will give you an update, but it's I don't want it to interfere with this, what I'm sharing with you here. Okay. Drew Pearson, who was on that new program, was going crazy over Golden. And it's not like Drew at age 74 is breaking down a bunch of film, which tells me somebody is in Drew's ear. Like, they got to get this guy. They got to get this guy. Now, is that somebody from the Cowboys organization? We never know.
Yeah.
But after I heard it from Drew, I started hearing it more and more from sort of inside the organization. And they do love these sort of Dallas Day people that come in, people that have Texas ties.
Yeah, he went to Texas from Houston, right? Played for the Cougars and then transferred wide receiver. That's a cool pick.
They do like all that.
Yeah. I like it, to be honest with you. I don't know why, but maybe that's why I'd be a terrible GM.
No, I think you'd be fine. You'd be entertaining. You'd be so much better than, I'll tell you who I think you would be better than as a GM. I could honestly see you being better than Nico Harrison.
Dude, for the press conferences, for sure.
Yeah, I like Nico's kind of soft voice, and then when he lets everybody know that he didn't realize that Luka had such a strong connection with. I think that's always a good thing. Everybody wants to hate on him, and I think that's appropriate. But I did find some moments in yesterday's news conference where I was like, the guy's trying to kind of be honest.
Dude, I did too. Man, I opened up the show today with that. He was
really
sort of an empathetic individual by nature.
I know.
And as much as I want to sports hate on him, I'm like, gosh, the guy does. I was Googling, like, if he had a wife. I was, like, concerned for her afterwards, I was.
Yeah.
But, okay, one more football question, and then I want to get to the syndication play.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little worried about you Googling Nico Harrison's wife pics or whatever. I mean, Scotty, let's keep an eye on that.
To be honest, I wanted to see, like, what we were working with, and she totally passed, the smell test. Like, she works for ABC News. They've been in love for a long time. Like, she's not like, as I put it, he's not coming home to one of the Real Housewives who's ripping him a new one over the fact that he's painting her in a bad light around Highland Park.
I think he deserves it. I think the wife needs to go off on him. I think he's earned it.
All right, football question. Football question before the syndication. Brian Schottenheimer, I haven't asked you about this, right? How does his new approach schematically, his presence as the new head coach, affect this year's draft?
Well, that's good. I mean, because I'm going to be kind of paying close attention, and there'll be some things that emerge. Of course, if they take a offensive lineman or a wide receiver early or in those first two rounds, it's going to be, oh, look, it's the offensive guy. And again, that's fine. I mean, he's been an offensive coordinator, and they're coming from Mike McCarthy. But I think why the people in the building are very excited about a change and a different way of doing business than McCarthy is that McCarthy had a way of sort of blowing off the scouts. I mean, whether he meant it or not, that's kind of how they felt. And I sensed that Will McClay and others in the building felt like the minute this change was made, that their voices were elevated and that they could really dig in and do their jobs. And so this word collaborative, most of these words I hate, synergy and all the goofiness we talk about. I think that Schottenheimer really believes in, valuing what all these scouts and all the work that's been done. And he doesn't, I think McCarthy used to kind of come in and just literally look at a couple of cut-ups. I mean, kind of like what I would do. Just look at some highlights and just go tell Aranda who he should take. Like, hey, we got this kid from Lake Highlands. Here's like 3 highlights, okay? Dismiss what all your people are saying. But I think it's going to be a little different. But I think you're going to see, and they've had a lot of good picks. It's not like a lot of the problems with the Cowboys are not really the draft. It's not like they're not drafting good players. But I think the communication and the respect between the GM, the scouts, and everybody, and Schottenheimer, I think that will be elevated to a certain extent.
What's the first question or the number one question you want to ask those guys today?
These are not very. I mean, we'll do in fact, Werder and I are going to do a Doomsday this afternoon. These are always a Doomsday podcast. These are always they're not very satisfying because, Jerry will spend part of the time saying he might move down. He could see himself moving up. All the options will be given. I just think, one of the first questions on my mind would be, where do you, as you get closer, where do you feel like are your biggest needs? And then it's always interesting to try to get Steven's a little bit more direct, and you can kind of try to get him to talking about where is the strength of this draft. And he'll have some opinions there that are maybe a little different than what you're hearing out there, because we'll read all these things. Oh, this, the edge, or the defensive linemen this year are better than ever, or they're deep at wide receiver, whatever the case may be. And generally, he will reveal a little bit of what they're thinking if you can kind of get him going in that direction. Like, what is the strength of this draft? What are the 2 or 3 strengths of this draft? And he'll be a little bit open about where he thinks this draft is the deepest. So you got to kind of stick with that. If you now occasionally you can get something interesting if you use this opportunity to go, Jerry, what do you what in your evaluation of Shedeur Sanders? He'll either say we're not looking, he'll be long gone, so we haven't taken a long look at him, or he'll go off on his relationship with the Sanders family and reveal that he's taken a long look at him, and to which Scotty would love that, and it would fan the flames of this of what Scotty's trying to do out there, which is get a bunch of clicks.
Dude, I'll tell you, I'm so pumped that that you're going to talk to Werder today and do a Doomsday. Werder was a part of my childhood, right? Watching NFL Countdown, and so he walked into Media, whatever it is, this Mexican place in Flower Mound on my birthday, like just like me, early bird special. It was like 5:15, him and his lovely wife, I would assume. And I choked. I wanted to say hi to him, but I've also heard he's a bit of an edge. And so I choked. I kind of froze. I didn't say anything.
He would have been fine. He does have an edge, but he uses that mostly on me. Like people that, especially with you being in the business and all of that, he would have been charming. He has a charming side. He is, I would say the less charming side comes out on producers, his bosses. I mean, If you knew Ed Werder like I do, it is amazing that he went 25 years or whatever he did at ESPN. It is remarkable because I've got a little bit of I don't do totally well with authority. I don't know if that shocks you or not, but Ed does extremely poorly with authority. Like, he makes me look like an easy person to work with.
All right, one last thing. Tell me about this syndication. What's going on?
Okay, so let's call this Arklatex. There's a guy who used to be a big fan of my show with Randy Galloway that I did a decade in the Dallas area.
Sure.
On 103.3 FM ESPN. And Scotty might remember that show from back in the day.
Dude, I was talking about it on Sunday with Christy's all her cousins and stuff. You should listen to it.
Yeah, Matt, I think I told you this when we met. When I lived in Fort Worth, that was my go-to show every day, man. So I loved that show.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Because some people like to come up to me. I still never understand when they say, Matt, like even friends of mine, I don't listen to you. I listen to the ticket. I'm like, do you really have to say that to me? Like, why does that need to be your greeting? But no, I appreciate it. We still hear from people that love that show. And Randy retired on me, so then I had to carry on about 3 more years without him. But I brought on a guy with bad asthma, good guy, but bad asthma and a heavy breather in Kalishaw. But we made it another 3 years. This syndication thing is interesting because this guy who was a fan of that show has now, in a time when I would not advise people to buy radio stations. I would say probably sell them if you can. He has acquired 35 radio stations across almost all of Arkansas, like Little Rock, Arkadelphia, Hot Springs, whatever other thing you could name, Mountain Home, right all the way across Arkansas. Then Bossier, Shreveport, Bossier, up to Ruston, into Baton Rouge in Louisiana. So again, and then he's just acquired a bunch in West Texas, but then also Texarkana, and then just a wide swath in Northeast Texas. So anyway, there's all these Fox and ESPN affiliates. And so what I'm doing is, this is very strange. I recorded earlier in the day, try to do it as late as possible in case there's breaking news. So I'm on at 5 o'clock in all these states, this tri-state area. He's trying to get into Oklahoma now, but he's got 35 stations. So I'm doing that I record it, and then I'm on at 5. So I'm basically, there's 2 Mosley shows running at the same time. So there's the one in Central Texas from 4 to 6. Yes. But I mean, it's interesting that, okay, I'm sorry, Scout has decided to act up here.
Let's go.
Scout the Dachshund, the long-haired Dachshund. He was not getting enough attention. I'm on now in every area across a 3-state area except the one I live in. Okay, I've worn out my welcome where I live, which is Dallas, but I'm on everywhere else. So it's funny, but. Anyway, you just, I've kind of found a guy that's way into radio, and so it's kind of cool.
It's extremely cool, and it's really cool talking to you this time of year. You mentioned Werder, you mentioned yourself. There are a lot of people out there on a lot of talk shows, blowing a lot of smoke. But it's really nice to be able to talk to you. Yeah, Scotty raised his hand. But it's really nice to talk to someone like you who's dialed in and does the reporting and actually knows what the heck is going on. So thanks for spending time with us. I know you're busy, so we'll let you get to the star. And Matt Mosley today, it's a must listen, I would say, 4 to 6 on ESPN Central Texas. He's going to have a lot of fresh stuff coming out of the draft conversation. Matt, when I post these segments with you, we get tons of views. So
good.
Thank you very much.
Good. I mean, I think it's Mosley kind of in the lead, McShay just trailing me just by a hair. All right, that's the way I choose to view this. But always fun to be on with you and Scotty, 2 great guys and two good friends of mine. So I appreciate you guys, and I'll be in touch. Okay.
All right, Mose. Take it easy, brother.
Okay. Tell Corey I said hi. Good night.
You got it. Later. Oh, he's a legend, dude. Matt Mosley. He's a freaking legend. He's the best. He's like one of our
Dude, he goes into some of those things, and I really just think he's one of the funniest people.
That's
I
my
know.
thing. That's
he's
why,
like, he starts talking about Dr. Draft,
Yeah.
and I'm over here like falling on the floor.
That's
laughing.
why I think he was so successful on radio and still
Totally.
is.
Totally.
He's got that. I was listening to an interview with Al Michaels yesterday, and Mosley has way more of this than Al Michaels, mentions about himself. But you got to have the rascal in you.
Yeah,
Al Michaels talks about like when he used to talk about point spreads before people were talking about that in the 90s. Like if a game's 44-21 and the point spread is 24, he's like, this game's still pretty interesting, and that's the rascal. And Mosley has
rascal. I would say a little rebelliousness is what makes a good broadcaster. Most of them. Like we were talking about Lee Corso last week.
Yes.
Little he was a rascal, rebel. Pat McAfee, Charles Barkley, and Shaq.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these guys, and you can't just be a jerk, right? Which Mosley's obviously not, and these guys aren't. But you got to be a little. He used the word, I don't always do real well with authority. One, I can relate. Two, there's a little bit to being a radio personality or a television personality. You've got to be confident enough in yourself to kind of tell people no, and to have your own personality. And that's what I love about Matt. He's got his own personality, man. He owns it. I love it.
Did you know they were doing a Doomsday?
No.
That's killer. So we got a Doomsday podcast.
Yeah,
coming
check that out. Rogue Media Network.
Yeah, later on. Matt is part of the family as far as that's concerned. So, all right, Pete Sousa Show. We're going to wrap it up with one last segment after this. Thanks to Slovacic, of course, thanks to Mosley. We'll be right back.
Dive into adventure with Scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. With over 20 years of experience, our expert staff, who've dived everywhere from the Galapagos to the Maldives, provides personalized advice to help you find the perfect gear for any underwater journey. Shop leading brands like GoPro, Aqualung, and Scuba Pro. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust Scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at Scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com. At Fullwell, we bring together the expertise of registered dietitians, MDs, and OBGYNs to give you the best fertility support. Our research-backed bioavailable formulas are crafted with your health in mind, ensuring the highest quality and safety. From preconception to pregnancy and beyond, we exceed industry standards with independent testing for harmful contaminants. With our comprehensive practitioner directory, personalized care is always within reach. Fullwell, your trusted partner on your fertility journey. Visit us at fullwellfertility.com. Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. We put every machine through 6,000 rigorous tests to guarantee long-lasting performance. With cutting-edge technology and a commitment to energy efficiency, Gevi makes your life easier, greener, and more convenient. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at gevi.com to discover more. That's gevi.com.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. We use the finest materials like Italian top-grain leather, known for its durability and luxurious feel, and apply meticulous attention to detail in every piece we create. Our replicas are crafted with the same care and precision as the originals, but a price that makes them accessible. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. Using advanced tech fabrics that are 100% waterproof, UV tear, and abrasion-resistant, we ensure lasting durability with hand-sewn double-stitched seams. Our commitment to quality, precision engineering, and customizable options is unmatched. With vertically integrated operations and express shipping, we deliver premier protection at affordable prices. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels, our rebounders improve accuracy, control, and technique in both sports. Built with premium materials for durability and ease of use, they're ideal for training anywhere, anytime. Whether you're perfecting your soccer game or sharpening your lacrosse skills, Open Goal USA has you covered. Visit OpenGoAAALusa.com and elevate your training today.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
Introducing Muck-Off's classic pink bike cleaner, powered by revolutionary nanotechnology that breaks down dirt and grime on a microscopic level while protecting your bike's delicate finish. Developed by our mad developer Alex and tested by riders, our products are made by riders for riders. Discover more at us.muc-off.com, where we break the mold to bring you the best in bike care.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
Hey, look at this. We got Mike Hamilton up here. We got stuff going down at the Rogue Media Network. The sun is up outside. Thank you so much. Matt Mosley's segment was awesome. By the way, tomorrow we have Mitt Winter, who is a very popular sports attorney, who's going to walk us through some of the changes that have been going on with the NCAA and some of the guardrails that might possibly be imposed. And then on Thursday, it's confirmed, Scotty, we're going to have Paul Biancardi from ESPN talk to us a little bit about college recruiting and the Wild West that is now taking place in the transfer portal. And I have to be totally honest with you, Scotty. When Baylor, when it was announced that Jalen Celestine was leaving Baylor, I was pretty bummed because he struck me as one of the only guys that could stick a big three. He's transferring to Cincinnati. But I'm looking at his his last, in the Big 12 tournament, he was 1 for 7 from three. Gross. He had 7 points in the win against Kansas State. And then he was 2 for 6 from three against Houston, 3 of 6 against Colorado, 2 of 4 against Cincinnati. He was able to hit the big three for Baylor this year, but I thought it was more so than he actually did. On the season, he was, I think, 33% from three.
That is not elite, my man.
No, so that's why they wanted to let him go, I guess.
That is very pedestrian. Yeah.
I want to make sure this is right.
No, he shot worse. I don't remember the numbers, but he shot worse from three at Baylor than he did the season before at Cal.
Yeah. Well, no. Okay, so he shot 35% from three.
Yeah, that's pedestrian.
Yeah, the year before he shot 44%.
Bingo.
He averaged 7.1 points, averaged 25 minutes a game, and started 11 games. I guess he was, all right, I stand corrected because I wanted to complain and have Scotty help me understand as to why Jalen Celestine was leaving Baylor. Why Baylor didn't
then you
pony
just had
up.
to look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, here's what I suspect, and I have no source on this. This is purely what I suspect based on the fact that Baylor ended up losing its whole roster and based on what we saw from Jalen Celestine this past season.
Yeah.
I think Jalen Celestine came to Baylor to compete at a high level in a good conference and be a contributing player to a championship caliber team. Didn't have that this season. Could we have it next season? Maybe. I suspect he wanted a bigger role. And Scott Drew said, you're going to have not a bigger role. I don't think he earned a bigger role. I think when you think about his body work at Baylor, good shooter, not great. He would have been my third choice taking a three in clutch this past season. I would have rather had VJ or Nunn do it, probably.
Okay. All right.
Just to be honest with you. He doesn't provide you a lot of threat offensively outside of the three, and I think he played admirably on defense many times. I think he was asked to do way too much defensively after we lost Ojanua, and he's mostly guarding bigs down low. That's not his game either. So I think it was a poor fit. Frankly, this ends up being a swap almost, Celestine for Skillings.
Yeah.
And I think
we won that trade. Or
I
Baylor
think
wins
so.
that trade.
I think so. I think Skillings is definitely a more rounded player, definitely a better defensive perimeter player, and as I said to you in the break, I think Baylor's got even better options from three with Obi Agbum in particular this coming season than Celestine would provide you. So,
or he could be a total repeat of Jalen Celestine. Agbum.
Yeah, totally. Oh, any transfer.
Because you step into a conference that's way different than the conference you were in the year before. I mean, Celestine playing in the Pac-12, and then Omaha. What conference is that again? Mid-America?
Omaha, you're thinking of J.J. White.
Yeah. Who's the other guy?
Agbum,
where did he
Wyoming.
go? Wyoming. Okay, a little better, but not really.
I mean, he was the player of the year in the conference, and he shot 46% from three last year.
Pretty damn good. I think it was 44%.
And the difference is, and again, I'm not ripping on Celestine, like wish him well. The difference between Agbum and Celestine is Celestine was not someone who was often going to create his own shot. He's more of a corner, catch and shoot player. Agbum is probably going to start. He is definitely going to start at one of the two guards. He might start at the one this next season.
Okay.
And he is going to create his own shot.
Okay.
And I think he's going to create shots for Tunde, and I think Tunde is going to create shots for him, and I'm very excited.
By the way,
my fan is starting to come out.
I'll tell you what's freaking me out. Zach is standing over in the corner like freaking gold dust, ready to come out of the locker room. It's all dark over there. Zach Burke's getting ready. He is ready for the Cam show. Let's hope his Houston Rockets are ready tonight.
Did you see? Sorry to change the subject real quick before we run out of time.
Please.
Did you see Sinners over the weekend? Speaking of like people standing in the corner in the dark.
No.
Did you see Sinners?
Oh no.
You need to see Sinners.
With Michael B. Jordan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bill
that
Simmons.
movie is phenomenal.
Bill Simmons was talking about that.
It's
all right,
really
let's
good.
Save that. I want to get a review out of you.
All right, let's do it.
All right. The Pete Sousa Show coming back tomorrow, presented by Slovacics. Make sure you watch the Cam Show. Also, we've got a Doomsday podcast dropping, I guess, later on tonight or tomorrow. So we'll be on the Rogue Media Network and the Doomsday podcast feed. Looking for that. We will be back tomorrow. As I mentioned, we got Mitt Winter. Yeah, he's going to break down NIL for us, which I certainly need help for where it's at and where it's going. We'll be back tomorrow.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down to afterwards, was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me, and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.